I like the final argument that Aaron had in his sermon.
Mm-hmm.
That is a question that we need to all ask ourselves. Is it worth dying for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it worth dying for?
Yeah.
It's a different thing too, in that some people but will tell you, yes, it's worth dying for, but what they do in their everyday life doesn't match that.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? It's fine to
That's
say if
right.
somebody comes along and shoots me because of my faith, I'll do that. But don't suggest to me that my life should be any different, in some way during lifetime. So, some people are willing to, I mean, let's face it, being a martyr is not what everybody should want to be, but for some people that's spectacular. That's, you want to have that legacy left behind you. He was killed for his faith, but you may not find people who are willing to let their decision of faith be known to very many people around them for fear of that. But if it was going to cost something major, you might say, okay, I'll do it, so it's, but yeah, is it worth dying for? Yeah.
Here's the question, flip it around. Is it worth living for? Really?
That's an interesting one too.
Is it
That's a good one
worth
too.
putting your life, making a difference in your life and putting, being a living sacrifice, right? It's not about like doing, dying once. Yeah, okay, you're martyring yourself, but being a living sacrifice, making those daily impacts of I'm going to sacrifice instead of, making the sacrifice for Jesus, for that, instead of being selfish for myself and being that living sacrifice. Is it worth living for? I think that's a good question too.
I had to mull over in my mind. Persecuted for the sake of righteousness. Yeah, well, some Christians are persecuted for the sake of their stupidity or dopiness, and really, it is for the sake of righteousness. People need to hate you because you stand for Jesus, not because you're beating them over the head with the Bible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I could easily do that. I mean, I've got the mouth for it, but that would be persecuted for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, that's almost like some of the people that, that talked about, like some of the heroes that you talk about and people who did wonderful things, and they died for a cause of some form, but it wasn't for the cause of Christ or righteousness. They didn't die for a cause of righteousness. They just died for something, and it brought them notoriety or something like that. So yeah, but yeah, is it worth living for is a good thing too, because again, it talks about preparing or presenting your body as a living sacrifice. So it's not like if everybody was supposed to sacrifice their bodies, we'd all be martyrs, and that's once and it's done. But a living sacrifice means that it's a repetitive thing, that you are continually doing this.
Well, there's new fodder for verse 11.
Actually, I've already written a sermon for next week, and I can't say anything, otherwise I'll be giving you spoilers.
Okay. Yeah.
There's this man named Bernie, and he wants to beat the Bible into your head. No.
Yeah.
I had to think of a cousin of mine. Going back to about the 1500s, we found out that he was related to us.
Ooh.
And he burned at the stake for his faith. The communist guy that was after him, it was wintertime, and the young fella ran across the ice. It was just thin enough for him, but this big guy was coming, and he kind of after him. And it was like kind of comparing it with Pharaoh and Moses, with the Red Sea, the
Israelites got across, but Pharaoh's guys drowned.
and, but he gets across, and he sees this guy coming across, and it's breaking. And he says, to himself, should I go after it, to help him? And he thought for a bit, and he went back to help the guy that was pursuing him. But through all that, I won't, the whole story, I don't remember every last bit, but that sticks out to my mind, that he helped him out, and yet he was burned at the stake for his belief. So that was hard to take when we cousin of mine, he just passed away now in March, but he's the one that looked it all up for us, and we had some we're putting a play together of this story, and it was very interesting for all the relatives that were there. So,
well, that's definitely persecuted for being righteous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to, but the Lord just gave him peace about it and went to help him out of the water and got him, because he was going down, and he got him out of there, and yeah, he was still persecuted that way. But we'll see him in heaven one day. I'll talk to him about it.
Amen.